Hi, my name is Shervin Shaffie, and I'm a Copilot Principal Technical Specialist at Microsoft. Today, I'll be building a simple yet highly effective AI agent for human resources, something that every company can custom make and use for themselves. I'll be using Microsoft 365 Copilot and going over the process step by step. Welcome to Collaboration Simplified. Before we jump into the build, let's do a little bit of housekeeping. And by the way, you can fast forward to any section of this video as I've set up chapters. So here's some common questions. First of all, why even use a Copilot agent for your human resources questions when you can just point them to your SharePoint site, or maybe you've set up a wiki? And there's several reasons for this. Number one, with agents, you can just use natural language, and so it's a lot easier to type out your question and just have a two-way conversation. Number two, Gen AI uses a much better searching mechanism, so chances are you're going to get much better results than putting traditional keyword searches into an HR website. And number three, it's very easy to access this agent once we set it up. You can access it from inside Microsoft Teams, from m365copilot.com, or from the M365 Copilot application. And once you set it up, it's very easy to maintain and it's very easy to share across your entire company or just to selected users. Now, the second question is, what can this agent actually do? What it's going to do is search across the knowledge source that we give it, which is basically a SharePoint site that has a document repository where we've fed it different documents about benefits and vacation and training, all HR related documentation. And it's going to essentially be able to answer first level human resources types of questions. So fairly simple, but still highly effective. The third question is, what can't it do? Which is actually an opportunity for us to empower this and make it even better in the future. What it doesn't do is connect to other data sources. So for example, if you expect it to tell you how much vacation time you have left and then book those 6 days that you have left for an upcoming vacation, it doesn't do that, but it probably can, and something we can do in the future. The other thing is that this is not an autonomous agent. So you might have heard about autonomous agents, which are basically running in the background and they wake up when a certain trigger happens and they take action. So it doesn't do that. It's not an autonomous agent. It's more of a retrieval agent. But it can, if you guys are interested, let me know. Essentially what we can do is set it up so that if you have some training that is due in 2 weeks and you haven't started, it'll just wake up, notice that you haven't taken the training, and it'll notify you. Or maybe you have a performance review that's due in 2 days and you haven't even started it. It can tap into that system, notice that you haven't started, and then send you a message. So it doesn't do that, but those are things that we can probably work on and make it autonomous. Now, if we did want to make it autonomous, we would be using different tools like Copilot Studio that has a different licensing mechanism, so just a heads up on that. The last question is, what is actually required for us to build this? I mentioned that I'm going to be using Microsoft 365 Copilot, and specifically the agent builder, to create this human resources Copilot agent. But Microsoft just announced Microsoft 365 Copilot Chat that is available at no additional cost to anyone that has an Entra ID account. And that actually has an agent mechanism with a pay-as-you-go model, so that if you do build and use agents, you basically pay per usage. So that's actually a very inexpensive way to start building agents and using it without getting the full M365 Copilot license. I'll put a link in the description so you can find out more about Copilot Chat. With all that, let's jump into the actual build. One thing I'd like to ask is, if you are finding value in this video so far, please give the video a like. It really does help the channel. And I typically have these conversations just with my customers, but I'm so happy to be sharing all of this with you on YouTube. Now, I think the first thing I'd like you to do is open up a browser and let's go to adoption.microsoft.com. This is a fantastic website, and I'll point out where you need to go. So scroll down a little bit, and you'll see a section here that says Microsoft 365 Copilot. Let's select that. And then here, right in the center, it says New Copilot Chat and Agent Resources. Perfect. We're going to click on Explore the Kit, scroll down, and here it says New Copilot Chat and Agent Overview Guide. Select that. And then finally here is the Copilot Chat and Agent Overview Guide. And I believe, by the way, this is pretty incredible that Microsoft makes this publicly available, because you'll see what it is in just a second. I'm going to select it, and it'll basically download this overview guide that when you open the file, you'll see this 41 slide PowerPoint deck all about agents. Again, pretty awesome. So thank you, Microsoft, for doing that. We're going to only look at maybe a few of these slides, but make sure you take some time to review it in detail yourself. There's a lot to learn here. Talks about the low-code options for creating agents, and we're actually going to be using the one on the left, the Copilot Studio Agent Builder, compared to SharePoint and Copilot Studio, so you can learn about the different ways of making Copilot agents. And also provides some examples of agent templates in Copilot Chat. So these already exist. If you have Copilot, the Microsoft 365 Copilot, you'll see these. I'll show it to you later on. And also examples of agents that can be created in Copilot Chat. So it turns out that this onboarding buddy is actually the agent that we're going to be building for human resources. And you'll see why in just one second. And then the last slide in this section that I'll show you is that it talks about all the steps involved in building agents in Copilot Chat. So there are 8 steps. We'll be going over all these steps together in the rest of this video, but this is a great overview of really what's involved. Now, if I go back and select this onboarding buddy, there's additional details into how to actually build this onboarding buddy. And if you look here on the description, it says an onboarding buddy agent is dedicated to ensuring new hires have a seamless and welcoming start. Additionally, it lists mandatory training courses and guides new hires through the HR process. So this is perfect and exactly what we want to build for our human resources agent. And it also gives you all these sections like this is what you put inside the agent builder in terms of the description. Here's an example of a name that you can use. There's a section that says what do you want to emphasize and what do you want avoided. So we'll basically be copying and pasting from this slide and building our HR agent. Now, there are other examples like resume reviewer or contract review or research assistant. So I definitely encourage you to review all of this. And if you're interested in building these other types of agents, all you got to do is just follow the process that we do in this video, and then you can build these other types of agents as well. So this is the foundation of what we're going to be doing. Next, if you come out of the presentation and go back to your browser, what we're going to do is open up another tab and go to m365copilot.com. If you've already logged in, then when you go to this site, it'll take you to the M365 Copilot, and you'll see here that basically there's the work and the web tab, and we're good to go. On the right hand side here, you'll see create an agent, which we're going to do in just a second. But one of the keys about agents is that it needs to have a knowledge source. And so for this human resources agent that we're building, we want to make sure that we have everything in our SharePoint site. So on the left hand side here, we're going to select SharePoint. And this opens up our SharePoint site where we have different sites that we can go to for human resources, communication, and so on. Now, when we go to the human resources SharePoint site, you can see that there's information on compensation and career and benefits, mentors and volunteers and retirees, and all kinds of typical human resources information. By the way, let me click on this compensation tab because I'm just kind of curious. I think there was a discrepancy on my last paycheck. Let me look at my pay stub here. Just kidding. This is not my pay stub information, but you can see this is a typical human resources website, right? Now, on the right-hand side here, there's this little wheel icon. And if we select that, there's a section called Site Contents. We're going to select that. This is an admin view, by the way. It shows you the document structure of your SharePoint site. And so here we have documents and templates. And if I select documents, you'll see that basically I uploaded a variety of different documents like 401k information, holiday and sick and vacation, learning and development, medical and dental, and our performance review process in here. So basically what I did was I went to Word, and using Copilot, I had to create some kind of fictitious information about 401k just so we can use it in this environment. And then I uploaded it to this SharePoint site. So this is the document repository that we're going to be using for the agent. And you know what's also interesting is inside SharePoint, you can create an agent. And this was actually listed on that slide in terms of a low-code way of creating agents. I'll just show you really quickly here that if you just select that, it says the agent's ready. You can select open. And then on the right-hand side here, you can start interacting with this agent that's using the documents here. So we're not going to build the agent using this mechanism, but just as a heads up, this is a super easy way of creating agents as well. Now, we have all our documents in SharePoint. We're good to go. We're going to go back to Copilot. And on the right-hand side, we're going to finally select Create an Agent. And right here, you'll see that you can either configure the agent or you can describe it. Describing it is a much more natural language way of going about it. And we're just going to basically copy and paste the information from that slide deck in here so we can build it. And you can see from a template perspective, the career prompt writing was in that slide. It also shows up here. So let's go to the slide. And for our onboarding buddy, which is for our HR agent, here's the description. I'm just going to grab this. I'm going to copy it. Then I'm going to go back to our website here and basically just paste it in here. So you can see it says you're an onboarding agent for our new hires, and this is the foundation of our HR agent. So I'm going to go ahead and just send it. And you can see that Copilot is thinking about what we just wrote it, and it's going to follow up with the next steps. Great. The agent is now set up to assist with new hires with the onboarding process. Let's give the agent a name. How about the onboarding buddy? It's a great name. And again, we can follow the slide. We can come up with our own name. So let's say HR Miracle Worker. Just come up with your own name, right? And then we'll send it. Let's see what the next prompt is. By the way, did you just notice on the right-hand side here, all these auto prompts got generated, which is fantastic. We can change it later on if we want. Now it says, the agent's name has been updated. Now let's refine instructions. What should be emphasized or avoided? Very typical question, which we have a response for, which is right here, emphasized or avoided, right? So we're going to go ahead and just grab this. And again, you can make it any way you want. And we're going to paste it. So be clear and concise and avoid long answers where possible. Refer primarily to the knowledge. Actually, I wanted to be clear and I wanted to provide lots of details in the reply. I think that just gives people more comfort that it's a longer reply. Maybe they can understand a little bit better. Okay? And we're going to send it. The next part is the instructions have been updated. And it also directs them to an HR manager. So we can do that or not. You can take it out and it says, how do you want the agent to talk? For example, should it be formal, casual, or friendly? Let's go back to our slide here. And it says friendly and professional. So I'm just going to grab this, copy it, and put it back in here. but funny as well. Let's see if we can get it to be a little bit funny. Next, it says, please try out the agent in the separate chat dialog to the right. Do you have any other further refinements? Let's just check the slide deck to see if there's anything else here. And it basically says, leave the starter prompts as is. This is the knowledge source. We're going to go ahead and update that in a second. And these are the example questions to ask. So we pretty much got it covered. Let's go back and we can try out the agent here on the right hand side. So we can say, actually, I'm not going to try it out yet because we haven't specified the knowledge source, right? So now what we're going to do is we're going to select configure. So select configure. And you can see, like, in terms of the name, the description, instructions, all of this stuff got auto-populated and it added some as well. Here's a key, right? It says, where is your knowledge source? Now, in your situation, maybe if you select browse, you'll just be able to grab it from here. We'll see if it shows up, our Contoso HR. Perfect. Actually, it's right there. So I'm going to select Contoso HR. And these are all my documents, right? These are all the documents. So let's see if I have to select them individually, which I do. So 401k, holiday, learning, medical, performance, select. It should show up here in a second. And there they are. And then everything else, we'll leave it as is, like actions, capabilities, starter prompts you can change if you wanted to. Let's like delete one of them and add another starter prompt around 401k info. What are my 401k benefits? And maybe delete another one and say vacation. How many days do I get vacation? For example, right? Just be as creative as you want. These are just the starter prompts. Okay, so with all of that done, now on the right-hand side, basically, we're gonna create this. And we're gonna select create on the top right. It says creating your agent. And voila, your agent was successfully created. Now we can either go to the agent or we can share this agent. This is pretty key, right? Because you just built a human resources agent that you probably want to share maybe with your whole company. So we're going to click on change sharing settings, and you can either select only you or specific users or anyone in the company. So, set it up however you please. I'm going to do anyone in the company. And here is a really good reminder. It says people in your organization may not have access to some SharePoint files or folders. For these people, your agent will not use the files when answering the questions. To ensure your agent behaves consistently, be sure to share files and folders with all intended agent users. This just means that the SharePoint site needs to be set up in a way where wherever that folder is, everyone has access to that folder and the contents inside so that they also have access to the agent. Okay, so this is a prerequisite. Now, with that in mind, let's go ahead and save. Your agent was shared. You can also copy this as a link to the agent and send it out to people. And we're going to click close. And we're going to click update. And now that everything is done, we're going to select go to agent. On the right hand side here is this HR miracle worker that we set up. Before we didn't have this, right? But now it just got added as well. And since it's already selected, you can see these are the auto prompts, like what are my 401k benefits, vacation days, all that stuff that I set up, in addition to the other auto-generated prompts are all here. Now, let's ask it a question. Let's just select on what are my 401k benefits and see what it says. Now, notice that as it was providing this, we asked it to be very detailed, right? So this is great. It's following our instructions. It's providing a very detailed response, and it's telling us all about our contribution limits and the company match and the vesting schedule. And more importantly, on the bottom here, it provides you the document that it got this information from, which was in the SharePoint site, right? The 401k and ESPP document. So if you want additional information, or if you just want to fact check, you can always go ahead and click that document, open it up, and we can take a look at it, right? And so again, I had Copilot make these up for Contoso, but all that information is here with respect to the vesting schedule, company match. Super easy way for people to interact instead of going and finding the location on the SharePoint site. Now let's go ahead and experiment and maybe ask another question. Go back to this agent, and you can either select new chat or you can continue the conversation. Let's select new chat, and let's ask about mandatory training. This basically says, as part of your onboarding, you'll need to complete several mandatory training sessions. Let's see what it says. There's a document that I have in there regarding training. We'll see what it says. It says, welcome to Contoso. You'll need to complete safety protocol, company policy, and role-based training. It's all in the document, again, in the SharePoint site. And when I go open it up, I can get additional information. So it's all here, and we're good to go. Now back to the agent, I'm gonna click new chat. And you don't just have to select from the options that are pre-configured here, but you can go ahead and maybe ask a custom question like, can you tell me about my performance review process? And let's see what it says here. So it's giving us the detailed response, and basically it's saying, absolutely, the performance review process of Contoso is designed to foster a culture of continuous improvement. There's the review criteria, it has percentages and the stock options and bonuses and all this good stuff if you do a good job at the company, right? And again, it just references the document. Now, as a bonus, I'll show you this technique for the creator of the agent, right? So if one day you're like, I want to make some changes to the agent, what you can do is basically select Create Agent over here, and you select My Copilot Agent up top. You select View All Agents, and this is the HR Miracle Worker. You select the pen icon there, and then now you start to make changes. If you want the instructions to be different or the description to be different, or even if you just want to change information here like the starter prompts, you can go ahead and do that and select update, and then just make sure that it's being shared with whoever you want to share it with. If you enjoyed this video, make sure you give it a thumbs up and consider subscribing, as it really does help the channel. Thanks for watching, and I'll catch you on the next one.